As I mentioned before, there's the IELTS academic and the IELTS general training, okay? So the academic is more for universities and the general training is more for visas, all right? The listening section is made up of 4 sections, as I mentioned, and it lasts 30 minutes. So you have 40 questions in 30 minutes, okay? The academic reading section, you have 1 hour and you have everything is very paraphrased, okay? And the general training reading section is also 1 hour. The thing is, the academic one is harder than the general training. Why is that? Because it already includes more graphs and other questions that are a bit more difficult. The writing section is made up of, as a matter of fact, in writing task 1, it is only required that you compose at least 150 words. You have exactly 20 minutes, and right here is writing task 2, okay? Let's get started. You have to write 250 words in 40 minutes, so a total of 1 hour. Now, as I mentioned to you previously, we are looking at the various graphs in task 1, right? And in task 2, it's the essay where you have to write 250 words, okay? Now, the writing section in general training is extremely similar, but they require a bit more in the grading, okay? Now, in the speaking section of the exam, the total time lasts from approximately 11 to 14 minutes, okay? It is conducted face to face, which basically means you will be there in person. And teacher and student, or rather the examiner and the candidate, and it includes 3 parts. The first part is 12 questions. The second, you have to speak for up to 2 minutes, but you can be stopped earlier. And the third, there are 4 questions about moving on to our second topic. Now let's take a closer look at what we have here at the scores, okay? And for the scores, I'll go straight to the subject scores, okay? So look here. For example, listening. Here's the listening section, okay? If you get 16 out of 40 questions right, you get a 5. That's it. Out of 40 questions, if you get 23 right, you get a 6, and so on successively. You need to get 35 right to score an 8. Now, moving on to the reading section, please keep in mind that it's actually 15 and definitely not 16 in order to get a score of 5. 23 to get a 6. This applies to both academic and general training, and so on successively. Here in the writing section, it's actually very interesting. I'll definitely talk a bit more about writing in another video segment later on, but it's important to know it has its own specific set of criteria. In fact, whenever I teach my students, I always use these exact criteria for the grading process. So there's task achievement, 25%. Coherence and cohesion, 25%. Lexical resource, 25%. Grammatical range and accuracy, 25%. Task achievement it means whether you are answering exactly what they are asking for. Coherence and cohesion will include transitions, words, and also the organization of the essay itself. Lexical resource, that's vocabulary, okay? Grammatical range and accuracy is grammar. Obviously, it's 25%, but grammar pretty much includes almost all of this. All right? I've already talked about speaking, but fluency and coherence are what they evaluate, right? Lexical resource, which is the vocabulary you're actually using. Grammatical range and accuracy and pronunciation. Remember that pronunciation is not the same as accent. Accent is what you have. It's what Brazilians have, what Germans have, what the French have. Pronunciation is different. It's about being able to speak close to the correct pronunciation and make yourself understood. So that's what gets evaluated, obviously. And that's it. Now I'm going to talk a little about task 2, which will be in the next section. A little bit about task 2, which is the writing section. Very important. See you in the next section.